Hi Rachel, this is another video in the series on how to make updates to your site. I think the first one we did was covering the forms and how to check those entries there. This time I'm going to go over the basics of how to update your content. So as I mentioned before, this is your menu down the left hand side. Your view is not going to show quite as many options here. Most of what you'll be looking at is pages, posts, and the table press here is how you're going to edit the items in those tables on the site. Typically, I like to keep the live, the front end of the site open that I'm working on, the page I'm working on, so that I can kind of go back and forth and see my updates as I take effect and can check my work. So since I've got the terpenes page open, let's go to that one. So all we do is we come right down here to pages, we click on that. Up comes a list of pages, and we'll go right down here to terpenes, which is a sub of science. That's how you'll find that. Click on it, and up comes the page. It takes a second to render in the back end view. So here we go. I mean, you can see it's just a series of text blocks here for how all of this is done, and then these items down below with the images are here as well. So really all you have to do is you come here and you roll over it. You'll see you get this little green menu bar. Click on the little pencil for edit. You get a window that pops up, and it's really just like working in Microsoft Word. You can see here bold and italic and bullet lists and all of these standard formatting options that you get here. You can make this window bigger to give yourself more room to work in. And if you needed to add something, you can just type it in. Probably more often what you'll be doing is copying and pasting text in. If you're going to be doing that, you'll want to make sure to click this paste as text button up here before you paste. And what that's going to do is, avoid you from bringing in HTML styles or colors or fonts or different things that you're probably not going to want to bring in. Getting rid of them at that point is a little bit difficult. You'd have to look at the text view here, and there will be all kinds of, HTML that you'd need to remove. So just remember this handy dandy paste as text button. All of these, they'll give you a little description of what it is if you just hover over it. In any case, yeah, you can add it in. If you want to add a link, you can just highlight the text that you want to make a link. Come right up here to this link icon. It gives you more options if you come right here to this gear where it says link options. It'll pop that open. So if you're linking to within the site, here's a whole list of pages, and you can just choose the page that you want to link to. Since there's a lot in here, you can just use this search function and start typing what the page is that you want. There's the contact page. We can click that. We hit add link. If you want to link to an external site, it's the same process. The only thing that's different is you'll want to paste the URL in here. And to avoid any errors, I would suggest that you actually open a tab and go, even if it's something simple like Google, you actually go there so that you're making sure there's no errors. Come in here, paste it in. The other difference is when you link to an external site, you're going to want to click this open link in a new tab. That way when they're done with it and they close it, the Greenleaf site is still open behind there. We'll go ahead and add that so we can see it. We'll hit Save Changes. You can see the updates here, but they don't move to the front end of the site until you hit this Update button over here on the right-hand side. So we'll click that. We'll come back to the terpenes page. We'll refresh it. And here is our new text. If we click this, it'll take us to the contact page. And if we click this, it will open a new tab for us with Google in it. Let's go ahead and just get rid of that before I forget so we don't have unnecessary text on the page. Save. Update. Now you'll see that there's also these bright green headlines in here. If you need to add a headline, the way to do that you don't even have to highlight it. It's just going to be the whole thing. So you just put your cursor there and you would say headline 1 or headline 2. That's just an emphasis in SEO for Google. It's also for your formatting. So that's how you'll get something to show up in that nice bright green headline style. We'll just refresh it again. And there's our headline. It's that simple. I think that's probably most of what you're going to need in terms of editing things. If you want, I can show you how to create rows and do, choose the number of columns in a row so that you can do that kind of formatting. If you need to change the location of some of these, let's say linalool and d-limonene need to be flip-flopped, you can just drag these items from one area to another to get that done. See how I can just drag these back and forth and up and down in the different areas here. If you make a change like that and you try to leave the page without hitting save, it will warn you. So it's saying, oh, I see that you've made changes and you haven't saved them. So we're going to go ahead and hit leave, but normally if you wanted those changes, you would hit cancel and then you'd hit update first to save your changes. So it's similar for adding a new post to your blog. So you just come right here to posts. You can see all of the previous posts. It'll list them in order of publish date. If you need to search for a particular one, you can search right here. The search function works really well. You can also sort them by title, if that's helpful. In any case, when you want to add a new blog post, you just come right up here and hit add new. Title goes here, text goes here. You can put images inside the text if you want. So you would just come right up here to add media, and you could choose an image and insert it in there. So I went ahead and dropped in some Latin text here. If you click on the image that you've dropped in, you can see you get some formatting options here. The default is for it to push all of the text aside, but normally what you'll want to do is something like this, and then the text will wrap around the image. When you're all done, you can just publish it, and it'll show up at the top of the list of blog posts in the news section. If you want to make it easier on yourself and you guys want to write some blog posts ahead of time, you can do that. You can enter them in here, and instead of publishing immediately, you can set a publish date for 2 weeks or 2 months down the road so that you can get those scheduled out and then you don't have to worry about it as much. Especially if your news, several things happen in a row and you don't want to just get them all out in the world immediately. You want to kind of pace yourself. That's going to help you for SEO if you can do that. Okay, we don't want to keep this, so I'm just going to leave the page and not save that. There's what I started. Let's just trash that. Last thing is the table press. So you don't edit those items on the page. They're in this separate plugin. The title is here on those, so it might take a little bit to find them, but there's not too many of them. There's 28 different charts here. You can just come right into whichever one. Let's find a long one. Pesticides, I think, is a big one. So there's just all of these fields, and you can just update them at will. It's just, little text fields. You just replace what you want. You click Save Changes. If you end up needing to add more rows, you can just manipulate the table right here in this table manipulation section. You can add multiple rows. You can drag these around if it doesn't add them in the right place, or one of these is out of alphabetical order or something. You can just drag them up or down. And just like with the text editor, when you're done making your changes, you have to hit this Save Changes for it to move to the front end of the site. I think that probably covers 90% of what you guys are going to need to do with the site going forward. But if at any time you run up against a wall and you want to be able to do something yourself that isn't covered in one of these, just let me know and I'll make you another video. We're always here, of course, for you if you want to just have us make an edit that you're not interested in doing yourself. Thanks so much.